Now this one is a little troubling only because the artist is obviously, a powerhouse, one of my favorite. This goes into jazz, a very singular voice, Nina Simone. On this album, this was not, I didn't just, obviously I found one in 1969. She came out with the Nina and Piano, 1969. And there was a hit on here that I know everybody would maybe know. I think it's Gonna Rain Today. I think it was done by Randy Newman. But I've heard that a number of times. I really like that song, and I want to do something that I haven't heard. And this one's gonna be off the beaten track a little bit. This is not necessarily a soul song, but this is somebody she really loved. I found out she loved Jacques Brel. I didn't know much about him either, but he was, on Broadway, wrote musicals. She loved his lyrical content, and she loved the music, she loved the lyrics. So I am going to do a piece off of that. And this is going to be, if you like Nina Simone, she always has that, heart on her sleeve, she doesn't care what, about, bearing herself. And obviously this is another piece. This isn't her. She didn't write this. But this one's called The Desperate Ones by Jacques Brel. And I haven't heard this. I listened to a 3-second snippet. And it's going to be, this is not it's not going to be a light song, a light listen. The Nina Simone, The Desperate Ones. Haven't heard this before, but I'm expecting a very unique piece. Here we go.
They hold each other's hands. They walk without a sound. Down forgotten streets, their shadows kiss the ground. Their footsteps sing a song that's ended before it's begun. They walk without a sound. The desperate ones. Just like the tiptoe moth, they dance before the flame. They burn their hearts so much that death is just a name. And if love calls again, so foolishly they run, they run, they run, they run, they run, they run, and they run without a sound. The desperate ones. I know the road they're on. I've walked their crooked mile. 100 times or more, I drank their cup of bile. They watch their dreams go down behind the setting sun. Yeah, yeah, yeah. They walk without a sound. The desperate ones. Let he who threw the stone at them stand up and take a bow. He knows the verb to love, but he'll never, never, never know how. On the bridge of nevermore, they disappear one by one. Disappear without a sound. desperate ones. And underneath the bridge, the water's sweet and deep. This is that journey's end, the land of endless sleep. They cry to us for help. We think it's all in fun. We think it's all in fun. We think it's all in fun. They cry, they cry, they cry, they cry without a sound. They disappear without a sound. They walk without a sound. Disappear without a sound. Cry without a sound. Yeah, 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 yeah. The desperate ones.
Okay, wow, that is one of her more poignant pieces, even if there's an interpretation of another. I haven't heard the original, so I was on Broadway or whatever. But I'm sure she did it justice, just because of her own ability to find that those inner emotions, the watcher, the fear, the happiness, the sadness, the poignant parts of people's lives. Oh man, there's so many lines in there that I wanted to stop in. I realized I didn't stop it. I was, so focused on listening to the next line and trying to figure out how they line up. Because it's easy, I can take the lines on one by one and sort of try to characterize it and relate to it. It's like, who is she talking about? How desperate do you have to be? Is it a small group of people that are this level of finding their way in the world, or is it everybody to some degree, So, I'm definitely going to listen to this again, or even just look at the lyrics, maybe try to find some, if there's online, maybe some analysis or background of what it is, what the context this is in. But it's not out of the blue for her. I mean, a lot of her material is just very it just gets under your skin. I wrote a couple. Let me see. So this was Nina Simone, like I said, 1969. This was an English translation also. So I guess Jacques Brel was a French. She spent a lot of time, different periods of her life, and maybe the end of her life. I think she was maybe buried in France, in Paris. So this was an English translation. So depending on the translation. But okay, I think this is from the musical Jacques Brel is Alive and Well and Living in Paris. So I will definitely go back and look at the lyrics and try to see the context for the whole musical. But it's like right up my alley. Obviously, it's a little less musically minded for her stuff. She sings more like either a jazz or soul music, and this is obviously something just a little bit more abstract, or just like spoken word almost, or just like the piano sort of adding these little flourishes and things like that. About her otherwise, so 1969, I think she said that this was the album that she had wanted to do for a while, just a little less commercial. It's just Nina Simone and piano. So it didn't have any other orchestrations, no other instruments, didn't have her band. It was just her and the piano, the whole album. And I think she said, I found a quote that said maybe it was on the album liner notes, but she'd rather be remembered for this album than for any commercial hit like My Baby Just Cares for Me. Because, yeah, I mean, that's a great song. She had, I mean, obviously, through her whole discography and different record labels, you know, she had tons of material that's needs to be listened to and is, you know, has her voice and her talent all over it and is fantastic. She's belongs up there with any of the other jazz greats. Like some of her influences: Billie Holiday, Sarah Vaughan, Lena Horne, Miriam Makeba. I haven't listened to her. I kind of have a feeling I know who she is. And then she put Jacques Brel as one of her big influences. I think she did some other of his material. I don't remember which song. But yeah, I hadn't heard this album. I heard some of the songs off of it. I think It's Gonna Rain Today, which I love. It's a great song. Yeah, I just wanted to tackle something a little new and something like off the beaten path that, you know, typically I've never heard anybody talk about these songs. But yeah, this one I'm going to dig into deeper because the lyrics are so stark and they're so dark. They're so I don't know. You know, we all have a fascination with, you know, some of the underground people in this world, and sometimes we avoid it. Sometimes we dig right into it, you know, and want to be a part of it, or want to surround ourselves with it within reason. But yeah, this song does that, and I'm gonna look more into it. So in an interview, Hit Parader, 1969, she was asked, "Who do you feel close to in the male category?" And Nina, in her own way, I mean, the way you put it, I'd say Ray Charles. I never thought of that, but thank you. That's a compliment. I do love to sing Jacques Brel songs intensely. That was what I chose to do today. I get terribly excited just by reading a couple of lines in any one of his songs. So that's part of what I did that song, because it was something very close to her. Hit Parader, are you aware of your highly unique style? Nina, yes I am. I know I'm different, but I don't think about it. You can't be different if you look at it. Being gifted is different. I've had that in my piano playing. I'm very thankful for that. I'm very aware of that. The style and what I feel is just me. I never worked at it. I just happened. Did your parents want you to be a classical pianist? Yeah, when a child is gifted, people try to help that child. I had been playing by ear, and when I was 7, a woman heard me playing in a theater and went to my mother with an offer to give me piano lessons. That's a very high goal to have, study 8 hours a day to be a concert pianist. I just got into it. I was very young. As I got older, though, I wanted a life of my own. The classical training was very demanding and thorough. It was a very sheltered experience. Even though I heard blues and gospel on the radio, it was always back to the piano and study and give recitals. Someone says, do you have a good technical knowledge of music? Yes, I can read and arrange. If I get an idea, I put it on tape and somebody else writes it out. Let me see. Okay, they asked, your classical training didn't make you look down your nose at, say, funk or soul? And she said, are you kidding me? Shoot, I couldn't wait to get back home and do some dancing. You don't know. What my people have is much more relaxing soul music. The Hit Parader, do you feel a strong closeness to any other Negro music? Nina said, I love all music. I mean that, but I can't stand loud guitars that make me deaf. Music is the center of my life. I love to travel to hear different kinds of music. Who are your main influences on keyboard? Oscar Peterson, Art Tatum, Horace Silver, even John Coltrane, Dizzy Gillespie, and Miles Davis. I'm also a nut for Bach as a composer. I'd say those are my major influences. I love the sound of harpsichord too. And lastly, so very often your music is filled with melancholy, but the feel of music, I guess the chords aren't funky sad. It's like Jacques Brel, sad but not funky sad. Do you think you play chords that way because of your classical training? Nina said, now wait, that's loaded. You're talking about me. I don't want to analyze myself that close. I have no idea. It would be ridiculous to try. That's like saying what might have been if some change in plans happened. But I'll tell you, my friend, last night I was alone and I was thinking, what would I be now if I had been born in some other place, if I had lived in a different life? Who could possibly know that? But I'm sure people wonder about these things. Oh, and there's a part where, Billie Holiday recognized Nina Simone. After hearing Nina do Porgy and Bess, Billie happened to hear a tape I did a long time ago, and she wrote me a note saying that she liked it and hoped I would be successful. That autograph is very precious to me. In 30 years of listening, I've still found stuff that I didn't realize was out there. And sometimes it's stuff you couldn't appreciate 10 years ago, and you finally appreciate it now. So I want to incorporate a lot. Could incorporate some music. Maybe there's musicians out there or people that want to have their music heard or want to add stuff to it. It could be a database where people can reach out and connect with other musicians, or even have, trade share transcriptions, or, anything under the sun. I don't know. There's going to be room for it all. So anyway, I appreciate it. If you have any thoughts at all, please leave them where you need to in the comments, or email me, and I'll see you next time. And it will be, I think the next video is going to be on, like I said, these are the first few videos. The next video is going to be on the first pieces of music, just two, not a whole expansive, but the first two pieces of music that made me want to become more of a musician and inspired me to pick up an instrument and start learning. So I'll look forward to you on that, and have a good one. Bye-bye.